Hello guys, welcome to United's glory. Manchester United thrash Bournemouth FC 5-2 in what can only be described as a wacky game. Another good performance by Manchester United, but there were certainly some negative moments in the game. But once again, Mason Greenwood, future Ballon d'Or winner, you heard it here first, with two sensational finishes that ultimately, at pivotal times in the game, bailed Manchester United out of sticky moments and, as far as I'm concerned, won us the game. United started off the game looking pretty comfortable again, once again looking good in possession, looking like we were going to get that first goal. The goal did go against the run of the play though. Bournemouth went 1-0 up in what can only be described as sloppy defending from basically the whole back line, and once again another error from David De Gea as far as I'm concerned, has to be saving it. Bournemouth were quite compact, tried to compact that midfield to give Bruno and Pogba as little space as possible, but those two are just purely skillful players and will find space no matter how much room you give them. Anyway, we'll get onto that. We got back into the game really well, ended up 2-1 in no time, and in the final moments of the first half, a wonder goal from Anthony Martial, and the game looked done and dusted. I thought we'd come out and we'd probably end up sticking another 3 or 4 past them at this point because Bournemouth's head seemed to drop, but they came out on the front foot, forced a few errors, and not only did they hit the post, they got a penalty, which they scored from to make it 3-2, and then scored a goal that got ruled off for offside, and which would have made it 3-3. And you wouldn't have been able to argue with how emphatic they were at the start of the first half. The goal was rightly ruled offside, and I do not agree. That was not a penalty at all. It hit Eric Bailly on the shoulder, and ultimately it's just an embarrassing decision for VAR. I'm all in favour of technology improving the game, but that's terrible, a terrible decision. And it weren't the only one, I think, didn't go in our favour. It was a wacky first 15 minutes in the second half, but we won the first 15 minutes 2-1. We were 5-2 up, and we should really have kicked on there and really pressed for that goal difference tally. It's not like we didn't attack, but we started to take some of the more key players off, which is a decision I understand from Ollie, but considering Leicester went on to win 3-0 as well and basically equalled the plus goals that we achieved in this match despite winning 5-2, it is a little disappointing. So I am a little disappointed there. The game basically just tailed off. We could have had a few more goals other than a few good saves. Pogba looked like he was going to go on the score sheet. It didn't quite work. But ultimately, you can't argue with 5-2. Could have been more. Bruno should have scored in the first half. Rashford, I think his goal was very harshly judged to be offside. And Pogba came close late on, and so did Juan Mata. But 5-2, a good attacking display yet again. Kept the ball very well. It's going well. Ollie's tactics are starting to come out. We're starting to see some of the payoffs for some of his coaching, which is the big question mark we have over Ollie at the moment, is whether he's a good enough coach to take this talented team in the right direction. And I think we're definitely heading there. Anyway, on to some player ratings. David De Gea, I've spoken about him on this channel before. He can't afford to keep making errors. The empathy for his basically brilliant United displays in the past can't keep saving him. Alex Ferguson was ruthless with goalkeepers. If they made a mistake or consistently made a mistake, they were gone. Fabian Barthez, great shot stopper just like David De Gea, also brilliant with his feet, few mistakes, gone. And not only was Fabian Barthez a World Cup winner, he'd won titles with Manchester United as well. There can be no room for sentiments in football. I want David De Gea to turn this round, but you've got to save shots at your near post. Sure, it was a powerful shot, but make sure you cover your near post. Peter Schmeichel, who was tweeting on this game, never got beaten at his near post. I'm not expecting David De Gea to be Peter Schmeichel, but that's basic goalkeeping. And some of his kicking was poor in this game. He kept putting players in awkward positions, and you have to question his communication with the defenders as well. He did manage to pull off one good save though, so I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10. And of course, he didn't really have a chance for the penalty. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, another solid performance. Great cross for Marcus Rashford. That for me should have been an assist for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Solid defensively. Caught out of position a few times, however, but it was nothing major. A 7 out of 10 for Aaron Wan-Bissaka for me. It'd be a high 7 though, because I'm about to go on to Luke Shaw, who I'm also going to give a 7. It was a comfortable performance from Luke Shaw, didn't do a lot wrong, didn't do much special, had a nice run where he nearly scored himself and was unlucky not to score. But for me, it's a low 7 for Luke Shaw because he does the minimum required for me, Luke Shaw does. He doesn't ever raise the bar. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is the level for me. as a fullback at Manchester United. Sure, Aaron Wan-Bissaka still has to improve a little bit, but Luke Shaw has to improve a lot to be at that level if he wants to remain as Manchester United's left back in the long term. Like I said, he doesn't do a lot wrong. He does the minimum required, so he isn't a problem position, at least for this summer's transfer market. But if he doesn't start elevating his game, it should be a problem position moving into the future. At centre-back, Lindelof, composed yet again, didn't do a lot wrong, comfortable game. Josh King was testing him though by running in behind him, but Lindelof still managed to recover well. And you could argue that Lindelof should have done better in the header that led to Bournemouth's first goal, but went off at half-time, possibly injured, hopefully not. 6 out of 10 for Lindelof. On to Harry Maguire. Now, I think he's going to get a lot of criticism for getting nutmegged. That led to Bournemouth's first goal. However, I think it was a lose-lose situation for Harry Maguire. He wasn't at fault in the build-up to that, but he had to close their striker down in order to stop him getting off a free shot. And in doing so, because of the pace he moved towards their attacker, it made him exposed to a bit of skill, which is what we saw. Sometimes you've got to commend the skill. It wasn't necessarily Harry Maguire's fault for me. I've seen world-class defenders get beaten in similar positions. He had to close down their attacking player, otherwise it was a goal anyway. David De Gea should have still have made the save. Into midfield, Matic, another good display. A poor pass, as far as I'm concerned, that led to the penalty for Bournemouth. Even though it should never have been a penalty, it was an absolute donkey pass from Nemanja Matic back to Eric Bailly, which gave Eric Bailly little chance to control it. He did manage to control it with his shoulder, but it was given as a penalty. But it was a terrible pass. And for that moment alone, you've got to say Nemanja Matic cost us a goal, so it's a 6 out of 10. Paul Pogba, another strong display, unlucky not to get on the score sheet. And I don't think he got on the assist sheet either, but it's a strong display, controlled that midfield area, some brilliant passing, picking out players from anywhere, manoeuvring space in the centre of the park. Having Bruno next to him, who can also do similar things, has really freed up the pressure on Pogba to actually pull something out of the bag. And we're seeing he has become the quarterback of Manchester United, just picking out passes at range. The forward line are all happy to move when Paul Pogba has the ball because they know that Paul Pogba can find them, even with their more intricate runs. 8 out of 10 for Paul Pogba. Would have got higher if they'd got on the score sheet, but 8 out of 10 I think is a fair rating. Bruno Fernandes should have scored in the first half, but some brilliant touches by Bruno Fernandes. Another assist, another goal, great free kick. You could argue the goalkeeper should have saved it, but at the end of the day, it still went in. Some brilliant passes, always wanting to get on the ball no matter how compact the defensive area around him is, no matter what zone he's in. He's always offering himself. Infectious. 9 out of 10 for Bruno Fernandes. Marcus Rashford, great penalty, unlucky not to have a second. A good pass to Bruno in the first half, so he's unlucky to have an assist as well. As far as I'm concerned, Rashford's second goal should have counted. His shoulder was offside. I know the letter of the law states that that is offside, but a way to look at it is the penalty given against Eric Bailly, it hit his shoulder. So technically, if that's handball, that isn't a goal-scoring limb on a player's body. So if Marcus Rashford's shoulder was offside like it was, then he was not offside. His feet were onside. I just think that should be a goal. The letter of the law needs to change. But an 8 out of 10 for Marcus Rashford. On to Mason Greenwood. Like I said, this guy is going to be a future Ballon d'Or winner. Can score with both feet, and he scores at pivotal times. Rarely do you get forwards that don't only score 30 goals a season. I know he isn't there yet, but he will be. But score at pivotal times in games that change games when the pressure is on. Isn't afraid to take a shot. Has wonderful vision for where the goal's at. Always knows where the goal's at. A great turn of pace. Can turn on a sixpence. I can't speak highly enough of this kid. Went off before he could get his hat-trick. Maybe Solskjaer saving him for the Villa game, and he deserves to start in that game. A 9 out of 10 man of the match performance for me from Mason Greenwood. Not just because of the 2 goals, because other than the 2 goals, his contributions weren't at the level of, say, a Bruno or a Pogba. But the important thing is that he scored 2 goals at 2 very pivotal times. The first one was when we was 1-0 down. We needed to get him back in the game as soon as possible. And then the second one was when we were going through some wacky moments and we just needed to get a foothold back on the game. He did that with a brilliant finish with his weaker foot. On to Anthony Martial. Now, Martial was quiet for me. I was wondering where Martial was. I was about to tweet out Martial's A game is great, but when it's not going well, he needs to add another dimension to his game. Then wham, goal, wonder goal, not just a goal, a wonder goal. If you're playing FIFA, that's a typical R1 circle finish, bending it right into the top corner. That was literally reminiscent of Ashley Young versus Arsenal in that 8-2 win. I'm sure many United fans remember that. Brilliant goal. But once again, possibly contributed more outside of the goal, but he is keeping his defenders occupied, which is something a striker needs to do, even if it's at a detriment to his own game. But Anthony Martial has all the ability to be the best striker in the Premier League, as far as I'm concerned, and one of the best strikers in Europe, and he's getting there. 8 out of 10 for Anthony Martial for me. In terms of the subs, Fred came on and controlled the game well. 7 out of 10. Eric Bailly, unfortunate that he's going to be the scapegoat for the penalty because of the handball, but it was not a penalty, and it was more about the pass from Matic that put him in that position. Other than that, he came on in, handled Bournemouth's attacks pretty well. Daniel James had a nice turn of pace, was looking to get in on goal, but ultimately nothing really came off for him. A 6 out of 10 for Daniel James. Igalo, for me, should have scored when he got through on goal, but, he's willing to make the runs, he's willing to get in goal-scoring position, so I can't argue with that, but 6 out of 10. Juan Mata looked really involved, wanted to play. Some nice touches from Juan Mata. A 7 out of 10 for me. Anyway, guys, another win, which is ultimately what's important. Great attacking play again, good possession play, but against better quality teams, obviously, we can't afford to make the slips at the back that we made in this particular match. Some of the passing was off. David De Gea needs to concentrate. Aston Villa next in the Premier League, a very winnable game. It is away from home, but given their recent form, I think we can take the game to them and put the game to bed early on. The only disappointing thing from today's results is, of course, the fact that Leicester went on to win 3-0 themselves by 3 goals, just like we did, 5-2. And obviously I wanted us to close the goal difference down on them, and we probably could have got more after going 5-2 up, as well as the fact we let in a couple of sloppy goals. Leicester also scored 2 goals very late, which equalled our goal tally. But we need to be ruthless. I do believe we can overtake Leicester on points anyway, but you never know. We've lost on goal difference before. The Premier League, I'm sure you remember, to Man City. I don't think we should risk it. I think we should just be attack, 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 ruthless. Go for the necks. Anyway, guys, if you enjoy talking about Manchester United, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Keep smashing that like button. Smash that like button if you think Mason Greenwood is a future Ballon d'Or winner. Anyway, guys, see you soon.